What does it mean to live a meaningful life? Life that touches your heart and your soul? And what if you could be heroic in your life, where you're the hero that's creating the meaning? And what if you approached that process of creating a heroically meaningful life like a game, where the better you got at that game, the more heroic meaning you experience in your life, the better your life got. I'm Mark Michael Lewis of theprofitabilitycoach.com and theentrpreneurleader.com, and I'd like to welcome you to this first episode of the game of heroic meaning. This is section number 1, lesson number 1, episode number 1. Heroic meaning is the name of the game. That's what this game is all about. That's the name of the game. It's about you learning to approach your life, your projects, your relationships, your health, your environment like a game where you're having fun and you're playing to win. And you win by creating increasingly meaningful experiences in your life that are satisfying, fulfilling. And you play the part of the hero who is consciously and intentionally creating that meaning, like an adventure in personal responsibility. And the more that you play this game and enact that hero and create meaningful experiences for yourself and for the people that you care about now and on into the future, then the better your life gets. So if you want a more heroically meaningful life, then strap yourself into this existential roller coaster ride of a video series and let the game begin. And we're going to start by defining the key terms: game, heroic, meaning. Because words are perhaps the most powerful psychotechnologies that human beings have yet to develop. Now, a word takes the infinity and complexity of experience and directs our attention to focus on just one small part of it, a specific part, right? Words give us handles on our experience. They allow us to grasp it, to grip it. We can take a particular object or an idea or an experience, and we can name it. We can conceptualize it with a name. And when we put our experiences, our ideas into these abstract vehicles, this tool, the psychotechnology called a word, we can then use that word, that tool, as an object in our awareness, and we can think with power and precision, which allows us to act skillfully. And here's the thing. The more precise our definitions of the words, the more they capture how reality really works, the more clearly we can understand and interact with our experience and be effective and be beautiful. And the more we can consciously and intentionally create a heroically meaningful life. I mean, it's like everything in life. The more skilled you become with your tools, your technologies in any area of your life, the more powerful you become in that area. And when you get good at the technologies you use up here between your ears, then you become powerful everywhere. Because what goes on up here, your mind, determines your understandings of what you think is going on in the world. And therefore, your emotions and your motivations, and therefore your actions and the results that you get. And this course teaches you how to get better at using your mind up here. And it teaches you how to approach the process of getting better at using your mind, at consciously and intentionally thinking in such a way that you become more powerful. It approaches that like a game, right? Where the better you get at playing the game of getting better at using this thing, the more heroic meaning you experience. So a lot of this course is just defining terms, right? It's getting clear about the words we're using, the ideas, the tools, so that you can use them systematically to make your life better. And also so you and I are on the same page and you know what the heaven I'm talking about. Because I assert each word, each concept that you learn in this course will be a tool that empowers you and inspires you to achieve your values. Like these words, these ideas, these tools are the ones that make the difference. Right? As a coach who's worked with hundreds of clients, 10,000 plus hours of one-on-one coaching, like these are the ideas that make the biggest difference, that will empower you, inspire you the most. Okay, so let's start by defining the word meaning as we use it in this course. First, an event is meaningful in a story to the degree that it impacts the unfolding of that story. The more it impacts how that story unfolds, the more meaningful it is in the story. And if an event happens that does not impact how a story unfolds, doesn't change how it ends up, well, then it's not meaningful in that story. And I want you to notice that meaning is always relative to a story. For something to be meaningful, it has to be meaningful in the context of something. Meaning is a fundamentally context-driven experience. And the context is a story. Now, Jordan Peterson says that the simplest story is, there is better than here. And I'm here and I want to get there, and then I have the story of how to get there. And things that move me along towards achieving my goal are good. They have a meaning that says this facilitates me achieving the goal. And things that lead me away from the goal or thwart my ability to get the goal are bad. They have some kind of bad meaning because it means, that event means that I don't get the goal. So meaning is always relative to a story. And second, for an event to be meaningful to you, you have to care about the story. If an event impacts a story that you're not aware of or you don't care about, it's not going to be meaningful to you. It's not going to mean anything to you. And the more you care about the story, the more any event that impacts that story will be meaningful to you, because you care about the story that just got impacted, which is the normal meaning of meaningful that we talk about. Meaningful to me. Quick examples show how this works. Imagine you're walking down the street and you pass two people having a conversation and you go on your way, and that's all that happened. Well, there's nothing that happened. There was no event that impacted any story. And so it's a meaningless event. Like nothing happened. Nothing meaningful happened. But let's say that you, as you were walking by, you actually heard one of them say, "I just need you to know, I'm in love with you." And the other person says, "Really? I love you too." And then you keep walking. Okay, well, in that story, in the story of their relationship, something significant happened. It's that event was meaningful in their relationship. Probably quite meaningful. But for you, they're just strangers. It doesn't really impact you very much, other than the, "Aw, people are in love." And it's nice. Generically, we like it when people are happy. So we get a little meaning from that. Maybe, perhaps hope in human relationship. But then, let's say that it was actually your child who was saying, "I love you," who was risking it, and their partner said back, "I love you" back. Then it would be meaningful in the story, and because you care about your child's happiness, that's meaningful to you. That's really going to touch you. But now, instead of other people having the conversation, let's say there's someone that you really like, and they come to you and say, I just need you to know I love you. And you're like, yes, I love you too. That's going to have the most meaning in your life because it's a significant experience. It impacts the unfolding of the story, and it's a story that you care about deeply. The more you care about the story, the more events that impact the unfolding of that story will be meaningful to you. So, if you want to have a meaningful life, if you want to experience more meaning and have meaning-filled experiences, you need to first care deeply about something. The more you care about a relationship or a project or a goal or a situation, the more you care about it, the more of your heart and soul love that thing, then the more events that impact that situation, whatever it is, will be meaningful to you. And second, you have to be paying attention to that thing to notice, has something happened? Because sometimes important things happen, things that really impact a story, but because you're not taking the time to pay attention, to have the conversations, to investigate, to keep your eye on that situation, you miss out on meaningful experiences because you simply didn't notice that something impacted a story that you cared about. So, if you want to have more meaning in your life, then first, care about things. Extend your heart towards them and love them such that when things impact that story, it will matter to you. And second, pay attention. Study the situation in process so you can determine when something important has happened that causes an impact. The more that you care about things, the more you risk caring about things, and the more attention you pay to them, the more care you take in terms of really paying attention to what is it that's leading towards their fulfillment, the more you prime yourself to experience meaning and depth and heartfelt experiences in your life. But I don't just mean any kind of meaning. I mean heroic meaning. And here I'd like to introduce a couple terms that I'm going to use throughout the course because they're so apt and descriptive. And they're often associated with religion, but that's not how I mean them here. The words are heaven and hell. Because you can say that in life, you can have increasingly heavenly experiences of love and joy and creativity and wonder and awe and adventure and beauty. Or you can have hellish experiences of suffering and hate and malevolence and resentment and resignation and despair. And heroic meaning, to be heroic, is to consciously intend and to take responsibility to try to create heavenly experiences and heavenly meaning, where you work to make things better, to make your life better, the life of the people that you care about, the world in which you live, and to make it better by taking actions to make it better and telling stories to make it better and treating people in a way that makes the world more heavenly versus not doing that, treating people poorly and not taking actions and waiting for things to happen and being upset that it didn't happen the way that you wanted and being self-righteous and resentful and making life more hellish. And heroic meaning is about aiming for more heaven and away from hell. And you create heroic meaning by taking personal responsibility to create that heavenly experience. Because you could say the essence of heroism is that you notice what needs to be done and then you say, I am going to do it. That's what the hero does. Versus the non-hero who goes, I don't want to look. Not hero. I see something that needs to be done, but I'm afraid to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Not hero. The hero is the person who takes full personal responsibility to create a heavenly impact on the stories that they care about most. And this requires courage. The willingness to take your attention and direct it towards reality as clearly as you can. From the perspective of what can you do about it, with it, in order to move it towards heaven, to see what your part is in how it is, and what your part could be in order to make it better, to make it more heavenly. That is the heroic choice. And this is most certainly going to mean you taking a good hard look at yourself, at your own issues, your psychological shadow, the parts of yourself that you don't want to look at. Because that's the place to start. That's the real heroism. It's to look at your own self and say, how do I up my game? You need to face the reality of your life head on. Out there, certainly, but more importantly, in here as the foundation of heroic meaning. In this sense, heroism is the choice to take responsibility, to straddle the space between reality as it is right now and reality as it could be according to your vision of what's beautiful and what's possible. To honor your culture and everything that you've learned and inherited, everything that's been given to you, the giants on whose shoulders you are standing in order to see further, and to recognize their limitations, such that you can look beyond everything that you've been taught towards something new, and to look towards the unknown, to face the chaos of the unknown, not only to confront its danger and the uncertainty it represents, but to capture and rescue its possibilities and what it opens up. In the language of Jordan Peterson, it's to take the stance of the logos and to speak chaos into order and to revive order such that it can extend further into chaos. It's to bring chaos to order on the border of the known, or to attempt to create heaven in the face of a potential hell. And we're saying that your choice to take personal responsibility, to aim for heaven and avoid hell, is the heroic choice. And the more you make that kind of choice, the more you're going to create a life of increasingly heroic meaning. Okay, now, that brings us to the concept of a game. What does it mean to approach life like a game? And like the rest of these terms, we're going to be using the rest of this course to define them in detail. In fact, you could say that all of this course is just clearly defining what a game of heroic meaning is, such that you can interact with it, understand it, find your way in it, and use it to make your life better according to your own conscience, your own values. To learn how to do that. That's what this whole thing is about. But for now, a game is something that you choose to participate in. It's voluntary. And It's a structured activity that has a series of rules in which we're focused on obtaining some goal or scoring some points in the face of challenges. And you do this for the purpose of expressing your creativity and having fun and engaging yourself fully in life. In this sense, a game is a kind of activity that calls forth from the player a particular kind of attitude or stance. It's a way of relating something that changes who you be, how you approach it, kind of energy that you invest into it, kind of intelligence you bring to it, the kind of character that you demonstrate. And we suggest that this game context calls forth an optimal way of being in the world if we want to create heroic meaning. I mean, imagine that there's some important project in your life, your career, relationship, your health, your wealth, your happiness, and you're going to approach that project like a game that you really want to win. All right, it's a game that you want to get good at, where you want to be playful and enjoy the challenge of the game, and you want to play full out and bring your best energy and skill. If you were to approach that project as if it were a sacred game, where you brought your highest self and focused on being in service of beauty and goodness, how would it change your attitude, your creativity, your enthusiasm for that project? I suggest that using this game frame would shift how you approach the various situations associated with the game and shift how you react to challenges that you face in the game. Change how you celebrate the progress in the game, your wins, how you experience the entire ride of the journey of playing that game. Because as we're going to get into, as we get into this game in greater depth, our neurobiology, our cognitive capacities, our consciousness as human animals is built around goals and our progress towards our goals. And when we frame our attempt to achieve our values like a game, we harness all the best patterns in our neurochemistry for motivation and creativity, perseverance and happiness and meaning. And the more we do that, the more our neurochemistry becomes patterned and primed to do that more, which leads us to be more empowered and inspired as we move forward. Right? In contrast, if instead of approaching it like a game, you approach it like a trial where you're going to be judged, or a battle where you're fighting for your life, or a pageant where you're being evaluated and you're performing for status and approval. Right? Those kinds of frames, those stories do not lead to an optimal neurochemistry. They lead to fear and anxiety and then arrogance and resentment when things don't go the way you want. Right? The opposite of what we want in a game of heroic meaning. Because the metaphor of the game has this really neat property. Right? It combines two things that aren't normally together. On the one hand, in a game, you play full out with intensity. You bring your best intelligence and skill and diligence and discipline and try to win. You really try to figure out, how do you play this game in order to win? You bring your best self and your best effort to the project, on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's a game. And in a game, you win some and you lose some. And it's not the end of the world if you lose. Right? Your soul and your self and your value as a human being are not on the line if you win or lose. So you can be playful and bring your creativity and your lightheartedness and your willingness to experiment and try, So you bring a sense of play to what you're doing. Sometimes we call this being a good sport. Because when you play full out as a good sport, you recognize that, again, you're going to win sometimes, you're going to lose sometimes. But the game itself propels you forward, and that's what you're focused on. And serious players take losses in stride because they recognize that losing sometimes is a natural part of playing any game. And it's critically important that you understand this idea because in most areas of our life, especially those areas that make the biggest difference in terms of our happiness and meaning and thriving, we are deathly afraid of failure. We don't want to fail in the achievement of one of our goals because success and failure aren't as simple as just, well, we set the goal and we achieved this part of it, but not this part of it. We achieved the goal or we didn't achieve the goal. We got this part, but not that part. It's not that simple at all. It's, we succeeded. We're a good person. We're worthy of love and caring and consideration and admiration and respect and belonging. Or we failed. Oh no, we're a bad person. There's something wrong with us. We're not worthy of love and caring and consideration, respect, and belonging. So I can't afford to fail because if I fail, it means that there's something wrong with me. So it's better just not to try anything difficult that I might fail at. And year after year, I work with clients, and one of the central challenges in their life is not so much that they have difficult projects in front of them or difficult situations that they need to deal with. Because we all, to the degree that we set ambitious goals, we're going to have difficult projects. And to the degree that we're alive and interacting with people, we're probably going to have difficult situations. It's not so much the situation that's the problem. It's the psychological stress and anxiety from our concerns about what it says about me as a person if I succeed or if I fail. This internal moral self-worth head trip that we place on ourselves that contaminates and makes all of the projects in our life far more difficult than they need to be. And the challenge is that this eats up enormous mental emotional bandwidth in our life. It reduces our creativity and our courage and our willingness to risk and our perceptiveness and our ability to feel into other people because our head is caught up in this head trip. And it reduces our effectiveness on every other area of our life. And if you want to take on truly making your life better and making the heroic choice to confront the most important challenges and issues in your life, to figure out where you can really make it better, and then to enact plans to make it better, you're going to need your full intelligence. You're going to need your wits about you. And to the degree that you're caught up in what this says about you as a person and this shame and fear of failure and concern with your self-image, it's going to distract you and take away the resources that you need in order to really get things done. Because you actually have the intelligence and the courage and the skills necessary to get on the path towards better. Your job is to let go of your self-worth concerns so that you can tap into your natural genius and courageously create a heroically meaningful story. And so if you approach the various projects of your life as a game, then you can attack them head on. You can bring, again, your best intelligence, your genius, your effort, your discipline, your heart and soul to trying to succeed, to using everything that you can to actually achieve the thing that you want to achieve. And you can have fun in the process. You can both be playful and play full out. And the more that you can learn to approach your projects, your relationships, your life like a game, then the more you can kick ass and have fun and give it your all, and you win some and you lose some. But every step forward in that process makes you better at the game. And this game attitude, if you bring a game attitude to your life, it makes everything more fun, more engaging, more enlivening, less stressful, less anxious. In fact, it takes things that are normally anxiety-producing and makes them more fun to the degree that you approach it as a game. And it's particularly important that we apply and use this frame of approaching your projects like a game around this idea of heroic meaning. Because if there's any place where there's going to be a natural moral head trip, it's, well, are you living a meaningful life? Right? It's just built for moral head trips. And are you heroic or are you villainous? If you're not careful, you'll make this heroic meaning project, this idea of creating a life that you believe to be worthy of yourself, your effort, your love, your caring. You'll start to build in all the moral head trips, and then success or failure becomes anxiety producing, and you become less willing to experiment and take the steps necessary in order to learn how to do the things that you want to do so that you can create an epic, heroically meaningful life. So, the story thus far. To play a game of heroic meaning means to make the choice to step into the role of a hero who's taking personal responsibility to confront the reality of their life as it is and to steer it towards increasingly heavenly experiences for the purposes of creative expression and to experience profound fulfillment. And if you choose to play this game of heroic meaning, then you become the author of the story about yourself as a hero who is making their life better, more meaningful, taking responsibility to accept life as it is right now, and then to use your best creativity and intelligence and caring to partner with others to create a life that you want to live, that's worthy of yourself, of your effort, of your caring. Now, if the idea of creating that kind of life, that experience of life is attractive to you or intriguing to you, then I'm pretty sure you're going to like this course. Because it's all about you getting better and better at making your life better and better. Or as I like to say, it's about getting good at getting better at things that matter, so that you can continually experience more prosperity and more pleasure and more purpose. For yourself, certainly, but not only for yourself. For the people that you love and care about around you, and for the world that you're going to wake up in. And not just now in this present moment, but in the short-term future and into the long-term future. As an ultimate, infinite Piagetian game. So that's what the game is all about. Consciously and intentionally and skillfully increasing your experience of heroic meaning, where the more you learn these ideas and apply them, the more you'll develop the skills of how to use them with artistry, and the better results you'll get, and the more you'll experience a better life. And to do all of that with a game attitude, where you're playful, and you play full out as intensely as possible, but not focused on perfection, but progress, and bringing light-hearted wonder and awe, when you win and when you lose. Not deadly seriousness and concern with success or failure, with anxiety and shame if you fail. How do you bring your best with a game attitude? That's what this game is all about. Heroic meaning is the name of the game. Now, throughout the rest of the course, I'm going to be offering you a set of rules and best practices and principles and strategies and skills and vocabulary and understanding so that you can know how to play the game, and a coaching structure and a co-coaching structure so that you can apply the ideas of this game in your life using accountability and teamwork. So, if you want to make your life better and you want a structure that provides you with interesting and thoughtful ideas that will provoke you to think empowering and inspiring thoughts and take productive and admirable action in your projects, in your relationships, in your life, then I encourage you to make the choice to watch the rest of this lesson. All right, 5 more episodes like this one, and to use it to provoke you to make your life better. Now, based on what you've seen so far, or based on your friend's recommendation, if you already know that playing this game sounds like a good thing for you, and you want to have a guided structure to learn how to play the game in your own life and integrate the ideas from the lesson into your plans and your practices and your projects, I have created a series of coaching integration sessions for this course. 1 integration session for each episode. So if you want a coaching process to turn these ideas into actions in your life, then instead of watching the next episode, 1-1-2, you would watch the foundation coaching video, and then the coaching session for this episode that you're currently about to complete, namely the coaching session for 1-1-1. So if you want to participate in the coaching program, you do that by going to heroicmeaning.com/play and watch the foundation coaching session 1-1-0. Remember, the purpose of this game is for you to make your life better and better and better. So I invite you, give yourself the gift of the structure of this course where I teach you a set of optimal best practice ideas and then provide you with exercises to implement them in your life so that you can kick ass and have fun, not necessarily in that order. So either go on to the next lesson or go to the foundation coaching. And in any case, play full out. And with that, we've reached the end of section number 1, lesson number 1, episode number 1. Heroic meaning is the name of the game. I'm Mark Michael Lewis of theprofitabilitycoach.com, thrivingpartnerships.com, and theentrepreneurleader.com. And as always, it's now time for you to take heroic action and turn these ideas into reality by using them in your daily life. Do your future self a favor and do the coaching practices for this distinction so you can realize and inherit an increasingly heroic existence. And if you find yourself getting stuck or blocked at any point in this process, make sure to engage in conversation with someone skilled who you trust, who can help you turn the stumbling blocks into stepping stones towards an increasingly heroically meaningful life. Then, to continue your adventure in personal responsibility, let's move on to the next distinction in the course, section number 1, lesson number 1, episode number 2. The game of thriving is a Herculean task of empowerment and inspiration. And with that, I leave you with a challenge. Make your deepest happiness your highest priority.